Welcome to Ask Earl Anything. This is the show where your questions make the show. If I don't have questions, I don't have a show. It's been a little over a week, and I've got 3 questions. And I don't think this is going to be a really long show. Just a few updates. I'm working on some different projects that are coming my way musically. So those are going to be like CD projects and Spotify projects and EPs and things, and the studio's getting used, and actually I have a session tonight. So I'm rather excited, doing some other things other than YouTube stuff, So that's kind of cool. I've had some fun with some of the covers I've done recently, an Earth, Wind & Fire cover, a David Sanborn cover, a Michael Jackson cover. And I'm having a lot of fun just playing cover songs. I am getting ready to do, it's coming to summer season, so there's going to be some weeks of vacation and stuff, so I'm going to try to pack a few videos in. We may spread them out a little bit longer. My last show was 2,000 subs, yay, whatever that means. Doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot to me these days, if you know what I mean. What it means is I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, having fun with it. So your feedback on my videos helps me to understand what to do. I do have a couple requests. I will try to get to them someday. It's storm season again. Last time I did this show and I had rain the whole show, so it was really cool. So let's start with the questions. We'll start with the first question, and it comes from Steve Delamar, Steve the drummer. And Steve said, I appreciate your detail on my last question. And he said, do you have another unrelated question? Today you touched on learning songs. I'm not so much asking about learning songs so much as retaining songs. I'm sure you play a variety of gigs that require a variety of songs. Sometimes you may be out on the spot with a song that you haven't played and thought about it in a hole. Long time, I guess he meant by that, in a hole. Do you prepare for gigs? More to the point, how do you retain a wide variety of music and material? Thanks again, man. Hope you're doing awesome. All right, great question. Great question. And Steve, this is practically how I do this. Okay, number one, almost 45 years of playing drums. That's number one. I've played a lot of music, done a lot of gigs. Now, one of the things I have an ability to do is just kind of listen to music like once or twice on the radio as kind of a refresher, and I kind of pick up the gist of the song. And I think a lot of it has to do with understanding song form. Back in college days when I was studying jazz and classical, we were always talking about A, B, A, or A, B, A, or now we've got a lot of music which is A, B, C, B, B. So that would be kind of like a verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. A lot of music's that way. So it's learning the song forms. That's a big part of it, okay? The other part of it is basically getting those grooves that go with songs and kind of knowing them and kind of being able to do simple things. So a lot of times, if I'm not sure what to play on a gig, I'll start with a very simple beat. And then as the song goes on, I'll add more to it. So my secret sauce for anything is starting simple and adding to it. The other thing is I play off the other players, and a lot of times the other players on a bandstand will help indicate where the grooves are going. Now, cuts and things like that, again, it's ears. Listening, a lot of listening, and watching. Watching the leader, watching where things are going. So if I'm on a bandstand and I don't know a song completely, I'm hawking the people on the bandstand, make sure we're staying in it. The other thing is, because I've been doing this so long, I'm a little bit more daring. So I will embellish, but I'll embellish with things that are tasteful fills. So I might not get the exact fill on the record, but I'll do something in the vein of what they're doing. So if they're doing kind of builds, I'll stay in build mode. If it's a kind of around the kit thing, I'll follow it versus going for like some crazy fill that they might actually played. So it's simplify, it's knowing the song forms, and it's knowing the vocabulary of playing simple and building upon it and listening. And that's my strength. Now, the Swigs gig, I'll give you a perfect example. I did the Swigs gig last month in May. Did a gig with them. I had not played with them for about 6, 7, 8 months, I guess it was. April, I did 3 rehearsals with them. The first night of rehearsal, we went through whatever songs they picked. They just kept calling them out. And almost every song came back to me for the most part. There was very few that I didn't kind of know. So we went through like 40 tunes the first night. 25, it was about 40 tunes. And we had in our pocket, we had about an 80 song book, 80 song book for that gig. I think we only played 35 tunes that night. And we did a couple tunes that we never did before. We even did one that was kind of like somebody came up and sang and we did a song. We only played that once in rehearsal. That there was a possibility we might do this. And again, it's my ears and my ability to kind of remember the music. Now, all those tunes are tunes that I played for a couple of years, so they're kind of in the back of my brain. That's what I draw upon when I do drum covers. A lot of times I pick covers of songs I've heard, and I don't have to spend any time researching or listening to. Perfect cover is Hitch a Ride, Boston. All I did on that song was sit down, was put the drumless track in Logic, put my headphones on, turn on the cameras, and play. That's all I did. And I had a blast doing it. I didn't really think about it. Another one, the David Sanborn tune I just released this week, Promise Me the Moon. That's an old song I used to play as a kid. I found it on Spotify a couple years ago. I listened to it periodically. It was a ringtone for my son for a while, Promise Me the little chorus section. But it's something I remember playing as a kid. As soon as I sat down and started playing it, stuff started coming out. And it didn't take many passes. I might have spent a little more time on Promise Me the Moon, but I still didn't break my hour time frame. I played it for about less than an hour. I think it was about 35, 40 minutes I played it. And I came up with takes that I could use. Matter of fact, the camera broke on the last take, the one I thought was the best take. But in actuality, it was the take before that, which the camera caught, and that's the one I used. And I didn't go back. I kept thinking I could do it better. I can do it better. So I always feel I can do things better, but there's stuff in the back of my memory. And I think it's because I don't think all the parts, there's feelings involved in a lot of music, It's following the feelings. And it's also listening to what the players are doing. I don't know, that's something that's intrinsic to me. The other night I was playing in church. Again, I didn't spend a lot of time in this music, but this was a song that I've played a bunch of times. And what I do for church music a lot of times, because the band leader wants certain things, is I write a little chart and I have it there. I wasn't even using the chart on this tune. It was just a simple build type tune. It's a song called Be Still by Hillsong. And it's just basically, that's the whole tune. I mean, literally the whole tune. There's just some ups and downs. Well, there was a violin player on the gig, and we went to dinner after church, and he said to me he really enjoyed it because he heard me do something. And what I was doing was reacting to the other musicians on the stage. The bass player was a different bass player, and he's actually a guitar player. And he was playing some stuff that just was a little bit different than what I'm used to hearing, and we went a little different direction. So again, your ears are part of it. But I don't do a lot of flashcards, or I don't write all my charts out. Like for church stuff, usually when I learn it, I write a chart out. So if I have to learn it quick and I don't have time to practice, I can listen to the music and just run through the chart. And then when I put it up, I do it again. So that's kind of my thing, Steve. I hope that gave you some ideas, But I will say this: The biggest thing you need to do in music to learn music is listen to music. So the more music you listen to, the better you get at these things. And that's, again, I never stopped playing music, guys. I'm not one of these guys that picked up drums again in my 40s, you know? And like I bought a kit for the first time. I sold my kit in my 20s and bought a kit in my 40s. I didn't do that. I've been playing drums from 15 years old right on. So now I'm getting close to 60. You know what I mean? I'm 58. I'm going to be 59 in August. And trust me, I've been playing it a long time. So there's a lot of music in me, and I keep those things in my head. And the challenge for me is really just sitting down and not having the music in me, I think. I like doing tunes I don't know. Like a lot of the jazz stuff I do because it's got a chart there and I can read it. That makes it more interesting. I've never played that arrangement of it, so I can't depend on what I've heard before in my memory coming back. I have to depend on the music that's written for me, and that's a whole other fun thing for me. So, anyhow, had a lot of fun with that. Thanks for the question, Steve. The next question comes from Brian Corey. And Brian Corey asks, great show, Earl. For next week, what do you think of the S series by Zildjian? It's a B12 or a B15. Well, I'm going to be honest, Brian. I haven't played the S series other than in Guitar Center tapping them. Okay? It didn't remind me of Paiste signature brass, you know, or bronze, whatever they call it. Signature bronze. It didn't remind me of the Paiste signature bronze. So it's a different thing. I've heard Bonzolium talk a lot about it. Terry Keating talks about these cymbals. He seems to like them. But where I differ with Terry Keating is Terry likes a lot of low-line cymbals, and he's always looking for, like, he likes to buy deals, you know, and he's kind of said that, and that's where he got into 404s and 505s probably at a young age. And he likes the alphas. He likes certain alpha cymbals. He liked the PST7s, you know, and he found some S series. He really dug those cymbals. I have a tendency today, since 2000, I guess it was 2017 was the last time I really bought cymbals. I bought the Giant Beat hi-hats and the 2002 Big Beat Ride. Since then, I have not been buying a lot of cymbals or even trying a lot of cymbals. And when I think about cymbals, I think about high-end cymbals, to be honest. I tried out some of the Avidus line of cymbals from Zildjian because I think they're kind of like similar to the Giant Beats and that 60s thin cymbal vibe, and I'd like to try them. But I don't have any desire to play the S series, to be honest. Don't. If I'm going to buy a cymbal today, I want to buy a pro cymbal, and something's got to be something that really tweaks my ears. And I've got 50 cymbals, so I kind of have almost every sound I want. I don't have that really pingy ride anymore because they gave away the 20-inch deep ride, Zildjian deep ride last year at 1,000 subs. And other than that, if I need a pingier ride, I've got a Paiste that I use. If I like the washy rides, I go to my Karope. I want a dark ride, I go to Karope. I got an Istanbul. I've got these nice mid-rangey Paiste Giant Beat 24, the 20 right here. These two are great ride cymbals as well as crashes. The Paiste 2002 Big Beat. I've got the Paiste Dark Energy that I used on the Promise Me the Moon song because it had that bell sound and that dry gad kind of thing. And I've got a whole set of Sabians. I've got 2 rides in my Sabian collection. So I'm not an S series guy, And Zildjian's, if I'm gonna go Zildjian's, it's gonna be Avidus, Karope, maybe a Constantinople. I mean, if I found somebody that had a nice Constantinople and I liked it, I might trade something for one. But I'm really not in the buying mode right now, so I'm not thinking about it a lot, to be honest. So, but again, if you like, and this is what I say to everybody, by the way, if you like the sound, then you buy it. And if you don't like the sound, don't buy it. That's my rule of thumb. And my last question, I told you it's going to be a short Ask Earl Anything, not a whole heck of a lot going on this week. And this is why I did Ask Earl Anything, because Michael Perry reminded me that he had a question. I thought he was the only question. I actually had 2 questions in the can from the last show. Thank you, those who ask questions. All right. Michael Perry asked a question. He said, is there a particular time of day that you feel is better for you to play? I realize you work and you might have neighbors that could complain, but if time was your friend, which part of the day works best for recording? What inspires you to play as well? That's the second question. So let's take question number 1. What's the best time of day to play? Believe it or not, my best time of day is when I don't have any pressure to do anything and I don't have to be any place and I don't have to do anything. So end of the day works. I sometimes record drum covers, between the end of my work day here and into dinner time. I rarely come out here at night to do anything, really late at night, except for when I'm recording with somebody. So like tonight, I'll be back here tonight doing a recording session after this show is recorded. This is recorded right after work. Most of my drum covers when I record on the weekend, I start like early in the day, somewhere between 8 o'clock in the morning, and I go, sometimes I'll record all day long covers until 6 o'clock at night on a Saturday. So my favorite day is to record on the weekends. My favorite time of day is any time I can get in here and I don't feel pressure. That's the key. If you're doing drum covers or recording, you don't want to feel pressure because then you rush things. I did this really cool session last night, and it was one of those times where the producer on the session, he's a new friend of mine in the last year, younger guy, he wanted to experiment. He saw these toys, so we grabbed a bass drum, and we were hitting it with a mallet, and I did some tom things with some brooms, those really thick brushes that ProMark makes that are kind of like, they look like brooms, like the sweet brooms, I played a tom part with that we used through the whole tune, and then I came in with a drum set groove with sticks, and then I did mallets on cymbals, and then I did a shaker part, and then I did a tambourine part. And that took a couple, 2.5, 3 hours, and I must have overdubbed 6 things on this track. And that was fun. That's the kind of fun I enjoy having. I like to experiment, but I like to experiment with a purpose. If somebody sends me a track, I'm less likely to experiment unless they say this is the vibe I'm looking for. And when they say this is the vibe I'm looking for, if it's not a straight groove and they want all that ethereal kind of playing, because these tom things are going to be reverbed out. A lot of reverb. It's going to sound really cool because the track is it's a really nice track. The girl singer's really good, and I don't know, I really dug the sound last night we were getting. That kind of stuff, it's nice to have somebody to bounce your ideas off of and make sure you're in the right place. Because there's nothing worse than laying down something for somebody and they hate it. And I've had that happen. And that's the kind of stuff that really bugs me. I did this girl's album from New Jersey. Her name was Jessica. Jessica Loren was her name. She had a band called Skya, S-K-Y-A, and now she goes by Jessica. She spells it that way, and she's just going Jessica. She's from New Jersey, and I did some work with her and her dad in 2010 or 11 it was. And they got my name from somebody, and they sent me a track. And I sent them back a track, and they sent me money. That was the funny thing. This is the funny part of the story, actually. They sent me money, and the money was like they wanted me to charge them $50 a track. Okay, I said I'm only gonna charge you $50 a track only if I get the whole album. So you're talking 10 tracks. So I'm gonna make $500 on this album. That was the goal there. So they sent me $100, and I was doing 2 tracks for them, okay? Because they promised me I'm doing the whole album. So they sent me the $100. They sent me the first track, the 2 tracks. I played the first track for them, and I played it studio drummer, down the middle, straight up and down. That's the groove I heard. I sent it back, and her dad, who was paying for it and playing guitar on it, basically says to me, "Send me my money back. We didn't like it." Well, forget that. That ain't happening. I said, Dude, you could have checked me out. I had albums and stuff I played on. I sent them references. I said, you could have checked my playing out. You don't like my playing, that's too bad. You're not getting your money back. That ain't happening. If you want, I'll re-record it. And then we went into negotiations, and he told me what he wanted. He just wanted me to go crazy. He said, go crazy. So then I did a track where I just played crazy crap. And he loved it. And that whole album was me not playing straight stuff, but playing crazy stuff. And I think she released 1 or 2 of the songs of the 11 songs I played on. But that's what I mean. Like, when you're doing drumming for people over the internet, it's a give and take and a back and forth. And there's nothing like being in the room with somebody to get that feedback. So, but that's when I can really experiment and play. And I love experimenting, but I love doing it where I'm getting feedback. So this is really a cool project I'm working on right now, and I'm looking forward to tonight's session. Anyhow, I kind of went off your question, Michael, but what's new? Is that what I do? The last thing is what inspires me to play as well. Well, it doesn't take much to inspire me to play, by the way. I love playing. It's part of my life. It's who I am. It's one of my creative outlets. I am blessed to have creative outlets. I find recording a creative outlet. I've now learning that video is a creative outlet for me. I find talking in front of people a creative outlet. So I do that in my day job, talk in front of people. And drumming's just another one of those things. Performing and getting on stage and performing is a creative outlet for me. So what inspires me to play is good music. That's what inspires me to play. And it doesn't have to be hard music. It just has to be good music. So what I try to do when I pick covers for my channel is I try to play music that I like to play. That's why a lot of times people say, hey, can you do this song? And I'll listen to it and I go, that's not doing anything for me. So what am I going to give you if it's not doing anything for me? I'm going to give you less than my best. So what you get on my channel is things I want to do. So that if I'm playing that song, it inspired me in some way. And if it's playing Michael Jackson up the middle, boom, boom, boom. No, if that's what it is and it's locking it for 7 minutes, that's fun. I like playing just pocket. Pocket's fun. Playing jazz and reading music, fun. Playing funk fusion like the David Sanborn thing with the vocal. I mean, that tune was fun. That was the kind of fun I used to do when I was a kid, and a lot of stuff was coming out of me. But I like playing the music for the music. And that's what I'm all about. I'm all about the music. So what inspires me is good songs, good music, and if I like the song, I enjoy playing it. So that's why I respect music so much that I don't want to do something that doesn't inspire me. So like technically playing certain types of metal music is not fun for me. I mean, I respect the guys who do it, and I see the technique, and I see the time and effort they've put into it, and for that, I commend them. But I don't turn it on and put it in my head. You know, I have a playlist of about 500 Spotify songs, okay? And all of them are like Earl's favorite soft rockers. I love listening to pop music from the 70s and 80s and 60s. I do. That's why playing the Carpenters that's like a piece of cake for me. It's like I listen to that all the time. I've got 5 or 6 Carpenters songs in that playlist. You know? Close to You, We've Only Just Begun, Won't Last a Day Without You. Matter of fact, that needs to be in there if it's not in there. I don't get to hear that very often. I love Carpenter songs. I do. They're just great songs, you know, great written songs. James Taylor, you know, and I've got a lot of them, you know, and I keep finding stuff and adding to that playlist, and it can be singer-songwritery or it can be groove-oriented. I mean, I love the Bee Gees. Crud, man. When I was in the 70s with the disco era, Bee Gees like broke up a band I was in. The Bee Gees and Andy Gibb. You know, matter of fact, I need to do an Andy Gibb song. That's one of the songs I need to do. I Just Want to Be Your Everything. My sister loved that song. I need to do that one for my sister one day. That's what I need to do. But we were in a band. I was in a band, my first band called Seaside East. And the guitar player was going, he's listening to like George Benson, you know, the Breezin' album. And he's listening to the Bee Gees. And then I got the bass player listening to Uriah Heep, Black Sabbath, Steely Dan, and the Police. You know, and the rest of the band didn't really have a lot of say where they wanted to go. And, you know, this is the era of the Eagles and Jackson Browne and the Doobie Brothers, and we're playing all that stuff. We're playing all those things. We're playing Bad Company, Can't Get Enough of Your Love. I mean, music was great in the late 70s. Sorry. You guys all listen to it, man. It's still, classic rock is still played all the time. Those are the guys that are real rich guys. All the guys that played classic rock, they're rich. Anybody else, you're going to have a hard time being rich as those guys are. There was that music they've repackaged and resold and repackaged and resold. I can't believe albums are back. Vinyl albums are back. It's like, give me a break. I mean, you're going to sell me that Chicago album that I had that I paid $8 for. I paid $15 for the CD to get it replaced, you know. I had it on cassette at one point, and I had it on I had one album on 8-track. 8-track was the worst, by the way. I don't know if you guys know what 8-tracks are. Probably those who are young don't understand. 8-track had 4 channels, and you put this cartridge into your car, and if you're in the middle of a song, what would happen at the end, if it was going to the next channel, channel 2, it would just fade out the song, and then it would go to the other channel and go, and then it'd fade back in the song from where it was. It was crazy. 8-track was the worst. Cassettes, at least you got the same amount of songs on both sides. You got an album side on a cassette. Albums were 38 minutes. You couldn't get longer than 38 minutes because the grooves on the record. So now they're reselling those albums, that Chicago album's like $25, $30 now. It's like, get the heck out of here. I'm not buying Chicago again. I had all the albums. I really ranted off that. What inspires me, Michael, is music. And I love music. So that's what inspires me. Anyhow, thank you for watching Ask Earl Anything. I hope all this came through. I never know if this phone's going to work. This is my iPhone 6. Never know if it's going to work. Your questions make the show. If I don't have questions, I don't have a show. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye.